Welcome back, everyone. It's another episode of Drop Your Buffs. I am Alex. And
I'm
with me
Ryan.
always.
We've jumped the gun.
Oops, sorry. Should we start
That's
over?
me.
Nah. We're good. We are here because we are dissecting and talking about season 40 of Survivor, Winners at War. Today we're talking about episode 2.
All right. Any overall thoughts that you had on the episode, Alex, before we get into like step-by-step kind of thing?
I gotta be honest, I think it's probably unfair for me to say it, but I feel like after the first episode, which was just so insane and so eclectic and everyone running around everywhere, I almost felt like this episode was mildly underwhelming. I don't know if I'm alone on that one. It was still interesting, still fabulous, but it felt just all the chaos and all the insanity. And maybe we had the Band-Aid ripped off of, here's all these winners and they're all in one place. And maybe since the novelty of that is, I guess the novelty of that I figured would extend a little bit further. But it's like, it's episode 2, we're in the game. And yeah, I kind of felt a little bit like, well, things happened. People found things.
That's very interesting because I actually really disagree with you. I think I really liked this episode. I felt like there was a really decent amount to unpack. I mean, the struggle with any time a tribe wins immunity and the other tribe goes and there's only one focus is that, like, you know, we didn't see a lot from DeCall this week. We saw a little bit, but nothing super remarkable. But I felt like there was a lot to unpack on Cele. The only thing I was kind of unimpressed with was the challenge, which we'll get to just in some regards. But overall, I thought it was a really good follow-up episode to a really strong premiere. So,
I can't wait to disagree with you on that. So, moving on. So we start on Edge of Extinction right after Amber gets voted out. And it was basically kind of like her, oh, I came all the way out here and, left my kids and I'm out. And we didn't really get a whole lot. We got definitely more later in the episode, but I was just kind of like, am I falling in love with Amber Burkich or Amber Burkich Mariano?
I was really like taken with Amber from the premiere episode, so I'm excited to follow her along on Edge of Extinction.
Yeah.
I don't really see a world where she comes back into the game, but I hope that she doesn't quit Edge, and I think we're going to get some nice talking heads from her that make her really relatable. You know, I don't think her personality ever really busted out of the seams in Australia or in All Stars, so this will be a good chance for us to kind of see the human, the mom, the lovable Amber, kind of thing. So
exactly. I think Amber in both of her earlier seasons kind of took herself not seriously, but she was just kind of serious. So
and young. She was young.
Yeah, and then Rob got the fire token from Amber and basically started piecing things together. Like, if it wasn't Amber, who was it?
And his eyes go immediately to Sandra, which he's not wrong.
See, and that was one of those situations where when he's like, if Sandra might have voted out Amber, this is war. They totally like completely changed the cut and just goes to him. And I'm like, I'm willing to bet he was probably talking about like his battle with constipation or something. And it's like, this is war. Like, they just wanted to insert this thing. I actually don't think that. That's just me being stupid. But I feel like they keep wanting to like dredge up or like, what's the word? Foreshadow this epic battle between Sandra and Rob. And I swear on everything, if it never happens or if like it does happen, but it seems like we didn't vote to each other or vote with each other one time. Oh my God, the epic battle between Rob and Sandra. I'm going to be very annoyed. So it's either
it almost, some of the stuff that they throw in like that almost seems like they want the talking head to be in there. So like 4 episodes from now, when it happens, they can be like, previously on Survivor, AKA 4 episodes ago, this one quote happened. So.
And it's just kind of like, yeah, storytelling's funny.
Great.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna move us on to what happens over at Cele right off the bat. Denise is walking around the woods with Ben, which I don't know why she would do that. She's already made a bad decision in aligning with Adam, but here we are.
Okay.
And homegirl, out of nowhere, Ben tells her literally what to look for, and she finds an idol, which is amazing. And has an interesting reaction. And it turns out that these idols that they're finding at camp are actually split idols. so they need to entrust it with someone else in the camp before sundown. How do you feel about the split idol thing and Denise finding one?
I have so many feelings about this thing. I will definitely talk about the idol in a second. I have the hardest time watching like one of my favorite winners of all time and easily my favorite person in this cast continually making alliances with the people I want to see out of this game. And it sucks because I'm just like, the way the season's going, it's kind of like, oh, all the women seem to be really dispendable or disposable, whatever, one of the D's. And I'm just like, I need her to stop because someone's going to target Ben or Adam and they're going to go, well, they might have an idol. Let's get rid of Denise. I can't. It's literally just like, danger, Will Robinson, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Denise, get out of the house. Anyway, that being said, I found it very interesting that Ben's like, let me go ahead and help people help or find idols. I'm sitting here like, that's either the most brilliant thing that has ever happened on this show, or Ben is just as dumb as, I won't say that he is since I don't know the guy, but as like completely without a clue as I've always found him to be. Like, that's either brilliant or it's just freaking moronic.
Well, and every time I kind of wanted to give Ben some credit, because I'm not gonna sit here and knock on someone when they make good moves. Every time I wanted to give him credit, it was like within the next 5 to 10 minutes, he did something that I was like, bro, why? Like, just stop. But this was the first moment where I really saw something from Ben, and I was like, I'm actually pretty impressed. Like, I think it is a good skill to try to build those bonds with people by teaching them something that they didn't. Denise, I don't think ever found an idol in her season, never really hunted for one.
She and Malcolm found one together right before Matt Singh got dissolved.
Yes, okay, it was super early.
But it was technically Malcolm's. It went with Malcolm. And if she had one later in the season, I forgot about it. But what I found very interesting about that is that Ben did that. And I think I see some brilliance in that, in the sense that Ben, I think it's better as long as you know where the idol is. Mm-hmm. It's so much better than having no idea where the idol is. So that's one. He's like, I don't have an idol. So for whatever reason it gets out where the idol is, if it's not me having it, I'd rather it be with someone that I'm trying to establish a relationship with. And Ben's also like the idol whisperer of the cast. So if he doesn't get this idol, if anything happens to Denise and she doesn't will it to him or Adam, he's gonna find the next idol anyway. And he's probably banking on that anyway. So I see some brilliance in that. I probably would have found it to be way more stupid if he had given it to any other player than my favorite. So it's kind of like a win, lose, win. I don't know.
Right. I do want to give Ben a touch more credit as well on this move that he did. Is when Denise found the idol, he was very perceptive, and I think he knows, either he knows or he just got dumb lucky. Was he realized that asking to receive the idol from Denise would have been like, very reprehensible. So he didn't even ask for it, which I thought was smart, because a lot of players, I feel like if Adam finds it with Denise in that position, he goes, give me the half. And he didn't. And he was cognizant of it too, which I think is decent prowess of playing the game.
Would it have been reprehensible though? Because to me, I'm like, if I'm saying, hey, this is how you find for an idol, this is how I did it. Oh, you just found one. Is it reprehensible to be like, oh, well, you've got 2 pieces.
I think, but the thing, go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was to say, there's 2 of us. I'm like, if you want to like solidify something, that'd be awesome.
But I don't think Ben would have asked for it in that way though. I feel like the way Ben is, it would have been pressure. It would have been like, well, you should just give it to me, because if you don't give it to me, then who are you going to trust with it? Like, it would have been and Denise, I think, would have been sketched out by it and been like, okay, well, I guess here you go, because I don't want to piss you off, but I'm going to remember this and not like it.
Right, but at the same time, I guess the only thing I would close on my sense on that is if Denise is out looking for idols with Ben, obviously there's some semblance of trust there anyway.
Yeah, but I feel like anybody who has a semblance of trust with Ben has also had a confessional where they're like, Ben's kind of like doing the most. So there's some, but there isn't. Maybe Denise felt like Ben was her best shot at finding this idol, so why would she say no to finding it,
This is why the episodes need to be 4 hours long. Anyway, did you have any other points to talk about with the Denise Ben idol situation?
No, I'm the whole splitting the idol thing, I feel like it's It's
Oh yeah.
interesting, but I feel like it's kind of unremarkable at this point because these are all stars that have either at day 5 established a relationship with somebody that they trust, or they come into the game with a preconceived alliance. So we're not really, there's not much of a point in my eyes of splitting it.
I mean, you say that until we go over to the Bacall tribe, and Kim literally shows the or gives the other half of the idol to whom but the person who's openly mocking her seconds later.
Can we talk about how amazing Sophie's confessionals are in this episode? Girl was doing everything. It was so great.
Here's the trick. Sophie is absolutely the narrator of the season for me right now, and I can't get over it. I almost hate it because I feel like Sophie's a bit more. I'm remembering now. Sophie was a little bit of a mean girl in South Pacific. She was very meticulous. She was very strategic. She was an amazing player, and I want to see her do well. But I forgot, like Sophie had a capacity to be like, "Oh yeah, you're offering me friendship. Don't care."
I think that's part of her charm for me though, is I just like that she's very dry, stinging in her confessionals. I think it makes
Yes.
it super interesting.
Yeah, no, I definitely I love that. And to your question earlier about like the whole paired idol situation, they don't want anyone to just get an idol, put it in their pocket, and then just sit on it. They want those idols used. They want what happened between Kim and Sophie. They want that to happen every time an idol is found. They want someone
Right.
to be like, oh, I trust this person. I think this person's amazing, blah, blah. And they want that person to turn around and be like, that bitch has got an idol. We need to get rid of them. They want the blind sides to happen. They want the betrayals to happen. They want all of that to happen. To your credit, there are people that are going to be like, well, I'm tight with this one person, so I'm going to share it with them. They're banking on everyone being out there wanting to make alliances with every person on their tribe. And then that just being one added layer to who's going home, how do we get rid of somebody who's a threat. This person's a threat and they have an idol. Let's get rid of them. That's exactly why they did that.
I do want to ask, because I think this is the first point that we're going to disagree on. I'm assuming, but you think it's a bad move that Kim told Sophie about the split idol and shared it with her.
Yes.
Okay, so here's my thing, right? In knowing what we know from, like, as the audience, and knowing how Sophie feels about Kim, obviously it's not a great move. But I think if you're Kim and you're looking at the tribe and looking how last vote shook down, I honestly think that Sophie is the smartest person to approach with some kind of, and I don't want to say a peace offering, because there's not really, they're not winners at war yet between Kim and Sophie. But I think you look at Sophie and you go, well, this is someone that I want to work with. It's someone who seems to have agency in the tribe. This might be the thing that gets her to be like, you know what, Kim's going to be a side ally for me, because girl's got an idol that I can use if to do whatever I need to. If Sophie's like, I need to take Sandra or Tony or Sarah out of this game, she can use Kim's idol to do it without getting any of the blood on her hands, but getting all of the credit for it.
I,
So
I see exactly your point, and I'm not even going to say that it's wrong. What I'm going to say is just from Sophie's, it'd be one thing if Sophie had been like, this opens things up because I'm trying to be as flexible as humanly possible. I'm trying to establish the best relationships I possibly can as possible. Sophie went on a tangent about I am the last person you should have told, and listed all the reasons why Kim is a threat, all the reasons why Kim needs to go. That's why I'm like, I think in that mindset, it makes sense, but we've seen it 1,000 times, whether it's Survivor, Big Brother, what have you. Someone being like, oh, let me extend this power that I have as like a sign of good faith and that I trust someone, and then someone turning immediately around and being like, goodbye.
yeah.
So, and I think, I honestly do believe, and this is I've seen 2 hours of footage of what happened over the course of 6 days. I'm a firm believer that had DeCall gone to tribal council, Kim, if not would have been in danger, she would have gone. So
Yeah.
we'll see, because we all know enough time on that island, people get crazy, people get bored and just decide, why don't I try to shake things up? So it's possible that might be something that's turned Kim's game around. We won't know until we see the next time she goes to tribal council. So I'd like to think that in a particular way, both of us are right.
Yeah, I do think that it would be a good move for Sophie to use Kim.
I
I I don't think she's going to, but I do think it would be a really good move. But she's 100% right in knowing what a threat Kim is. I just think at this phase, this is when you use somebody who's so clearly on the outs that
Yeah.
has an idol at your fingertips, you know? That's just me.
Exactly. Well, that's one of those ones again where it's like if Boston Rob or even Russell Hantz comes up to you and it's someone that you honestly think is a threat, and it's like, hey, idol. I mean, it's one thing to go, hey, so I pulled this person in and I kind of use them. It's another thing to be like, I took that information, ran with it, got that threat voted out, and that is on my head. That goes on my resume. Thank you. So
Right.
it's really one of those things where it's like we won't know how smart or dumb it was until we see how it plays out.
Exactly. So
Uh,
speaking of resume building and the precursor to Advantage Gate 2.0, which is going to happen,
okay.
Jeremy gets an advantage from Natalie. And by the way, Natalie on Edge of Extinction, first off, this clue made no sense that they were hunting for. I dissected it. The clue made zero sense. Finding it in a water well, I was like, what?
No,
And then
that's one of those situations where you literally watched. I was like, what are we missing here? At one point, I thought maybe they're supposed to take the first letter of every word and unscramble it because Survivor thinks everyone's got a doctorate in just stupidity. I have no idea. And then when they did you were just supposed to ignore everything and just look at the first letter of each line. And I know if I were Amber Mariano or Natalie Anderson, I would be at home going, you have got to be kidding me.
right.
Who on a cup of rice a day was going to dissect that equation? That's ignorant. That's stupid.
Then she pretends to not know who she's going to give this advantage to when it's very obvious that like she would have given the idol to Jeremy last time if she could have, but she couldn't. So it's
I,
obviously
I was actually curious about that. Was she not able to give or
it
offer
had to be
the
the
idol?
losing tribe.
It
Yeah.
had to be the opposite tribe.
Well,
Okay.
no, the whatever tribe lost immunity, she had to give.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because I was sitting there going, why didn't she offer the idol to Jeremy? But you are right. It was the tribe that lost. I only watched the
Yeah.
first episode once. I'm going to hell. But
Um,
yeah,
I
I actually wanted to ask your opinion about this. What did you think about Jeremy taking that advantage? Because for me, I'm
so
like, for all intents and purposes, if it's final seven and you know that you're everyone's big target, that ain't a bad thing to have. Like y'all,
this
this
this is
early in the
my
game.
favorite. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
This is my favorite advantage that exists within the game, because I think it's superior to a hidden immunity idol. You dodge tribal, and you obviously can't take out one of your threats, but you're guaranteed safety. It's the equivalent of having a necklace, but you don't have to piss anybody off by writing down their name. Yes, you might make your allies upset, but who's to say at the final seven that alliances even exist anymore? We've seen so many times where things shift constantly.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think it's just I love that they're bringing it into this game. I truthfully can't remember the last time if I saw it on US Survivor, but I've seen it on Australian Survivor before, which I really like.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I wasn't sure if this is a advantage that we've ever seen before. Because there've been so many in the last 5 or 6 seasons where I'm like, that was dumb, and then when they play it, I'm like, well, that didn't do anything. So
Yeah. I just feel like the power of this, it can't be overstated. And I don't know when it expires, but good on Jeremy for getting it, because I would jump on the chance to have that. You never know. You never know when you're really going to need it, and it's better to get through one more vote and have a chance to win one more immunity necklace than
sure.
it is to play an idol wrong or something like that. So
I mean, and I totally get that. I think for me, it's one of those ones, just like if you're in a good position or if you're just like, this might not be the round for me to stay around. I just think if you and I are working together, well, you and I, sorry, it always inverses when I post these on YouTube. If you and I are working together, it's like, we need to get this person out. And especially if you don't tell me about this, it's like, it's going to be us four versus those three. And then you just are like, oh, I'm actually not going to be here for this vote. Not only does that put me at risk, if I end up going home, that's on you. And then also, if one of our allies goes home, I'm just like, so, hey, buddy, thanks for cueing me in that you were doing this. So I feel like you still run the risk of pissing people off by using this. And
right.
I know right now it's probably not that important, but Jeremy, those fire tokens, I'm kind of like, ooh, using one day these things are going to be important. I don't think it was a bad move on Jeremy's part to buy it. But I'm also just like, again, we won't know until we see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough. I just think with there's so much stuff that floats around the game now, vote cancelers and vote doublers and all this, to avoid the dangerous part of the game, I think is smart. And there's nothing that said I think that you couldn't give it to somebody else. So, he could give it to someone else that's in danger, knowing that he's not in danger and
okay.
benefit his game that way. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this.
Oh, okay. I thought it had to be the person, like if Jeremy has it, I thought Jeremy had to play it.
I think it's the same as any other advantage that you can pass on to someone else kind of thing.
Okay. Perhaps. I think for me, the thing that worries me about all these advantages, because it seems like there's going to be way more than any other season we've ever witnessed. My fear is it seems as though this game is set up to reward the people that are like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to let the big dogs just eat each other alive. And people playing games like Adam and Nick, who it's a fine strategy. It's just not a strategy that I appreciate compared to other people or to other ways of playing the game. But yeah, it seems like the players like Michelle, who just kind of like, I'm going to kick back and let the big dogs play, or any of them. I'm just like, it's just incentivizing not playing or not making waves or not doing anything. And it's letting the advantages play the game as opposed to letting the players play the game. And that's my biggest issue with all the advantages in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I still have faith. It's early. I still have faith in this season to not let that happen. So I'm just gonna ride this one out and see where it goes.
Like, we get it. You're an optimist and I'm not. So, um,
Speaking of optimism, I hope that the challenges get better throughout the season because I found this immunity challenge to be so uninteresting and unremarkable until they got to the puzzle phase
yeah.
that I was just like my eyes glazed over. I was trying to pay attention, but there was really nothing of interest happening for me except noticing that for some reason Cele put Michelle on the back of their wagon when they were trying to push all the trunks on the wagon. And I'm like, no shade to Michelle, but you might want some like body mass that could push the wagon from like, I don't know if any of them have ever pushed anything, but it's a lot harder to pull something than it is to push something. That was just my note.
I mean, this was I don't know if it was my honorary or my actual. Did you notice? At one point when they're first pushing the car out, Parvati has like her hand, it's not even like a push, it's like her hand's on it and she's like, and I was just like, it's only in challenges where I'm like, did anyone else see that? Did anyone else see that? Because at this point, it's just like, girl, what you doing? It made me think of Sarah in Marquesas when they're like rowing the thing in there, and she's just laying on the cart, and Sean's,
Yes.
what are you doing, Cleopatra? That's totally the vibe like that. And it was just really, really funny to me.
Right.
Yeah, the challenge was really much to write home about. I think the biggest part of the challenge that was interesting was the puzzle making, which for me, I was like, Sandra and Rob are like puzzle champions. And then with Sophie and Denise as their co-pilots, I'm like, cool. And just watching that, what did you think of that, about how that all went down?
I was so interested as I started watching Rob come up with this strategy of sorting out the puzzle pieces. Because, Sandra and Sophie started to pull ahead a little bit, and Rob and Denise had kind of caught up on the first layer. And I sort of expected it to be this massive, like, they're just going to pick up this stack of 8 puzzle pieces and go, whoa, whoa, and solve the puzzle.
Right? I was waiting for that moment. I was ready for that moment.
And Rob just choked. It was shocking. I also thought it was really I don't know how to phrase this. I thought it was lame for a Survivor challenge. They sorted all of the puzzle pieces by trunk, so like you knew for part 1 you had to just do these, and then part 2. I was like, that doesn't seem like the hardest puzzle in the world. So that even confused me more that Rob was struggling as much as he was, instead of just plugging in pieces.
They only did the bottom portion. That's the only part they finished, right?
Yeah, they didn't even get like any other pieces in there by the time that Sophie and Sandra had finished. And when they finished the bottom row, they were caught up.
They were.
So, do you feel like Rob's strategy has a place in Survivor? Like, do you feel like there's time in these challenges to go, well, let's sort out the puzzle pieces by this. Don't put anything in anywhere. Or do you feel like you got to go?
No, I think if you think looking at the pieces and putting them in front of you are going to make you see everything better, by all means. We've seen it in time and time again, where people are just like, just throw things in there. And it's like, no, just have some organization and take your time, breathe a little bit. And I think that's what Rob was trying to avoid. I just think if you get to the puzzle and you're behind and you manage to sort out these puzzle pieces in a way that gets you caught up, clearly what you're doing is working. If you are that far behind and then you catch up, clearly something is correct about the way you guys are doing this puzzle. The fact that it's like, if math and science make sense, if you're this far behind and then you get here, one would think, oh, if we just keep doing what we're doing, we're eventually going to like pass them up and we have a shot at winning this. So, you know, it was weird because I wouldn't call myself a Boston Rob critic, but I definitely am not rooting for him to win this season because I'm hateful. It's an appreciative hate though. That being said, like watching him in that moment of just sheer vulnerability, like I stood up the challenge, I couldn't help but feel for the guy. And I'm like, oh my God, am I falling under the spell? Has it taken 6 seasons for me to start to appreciate Boston Rob? It's like, it's probably to Ben's point. You just fall under this freaking Jedi mastery and it's just bizarre. What did you think getting back from the challenge? What were your thoughts? Who did you think were initially in trouble?
Well, so I wasn't shocked at all that Dakal won immunity. I kind of viewed the dominant tribe to be the red tribe from the start. So all episode I'm thinking, okay, who's gonna go on blue? Because I just don't see red losing this episode. So my first thought is that I'm actually a little fatigued already of the way that these alliances are divided on the tribes. We have old school versus new school, and it's very, both tribes are just like a dichotomy of the division. So it's old school versus new school on the blue tribe, and then on the red tribe, it's non-returning players and returning players, basically. And, you know, it's so early that I can't really be critical, but the lines are not blurred enough yet to make it super interesting.
Right.
I do have my drop your buff moment right here from when they returned from the challenge, and they're standing around and talking, and Ethan just straight to Rob's face goes, "Dude, you suck today." I thought it was just Ethan. Ethan's so honest and just blunt, and it made me giggle because nobody is ever that honest with Boston Rob, and I actually like seeing him play with other winners because none of these people are holding back from him really when it comes to telling him that they're targeting him or that they think he didn't do a good job. So
I love that moment. I definitely love that moment. I'm going to take an aside real quick and just be like, Ryan, you've got like a solid third of your screen that is headspace. So you need to adjust that camera.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay, well now we're cutting off the top of your head. Sorry. There we go. Oh,
sorry.
You're fine. Somehow I'm going to go in there and cut that out because now I'm sure I look like a colossal jerk.
Technical issues.
Wardrobe.
I was really hoping that maybe Jeremy would just use his advantage super early, and because Rob was talking about how Jeremy could be an easy target. I'm like, well, I hope Jeremy just right before voting goes like, okay, I'm out, and then they all vote out Ben. That was like my goal, but it did not happen because Danny Boatwright had an effing meltdown. What was that?
The fact that it was unanimous is what makes me go, what? But it's also just like, she did it to herself.
1,000,000,000%. It was out of nowhere.
I'm just like, you literally came from a season where you went into the merge. I think it was, if it wasn't 4-6, it was 3-7.
Yeah.
I think it was 4-6.
I think it was 4-6.
And it was like, it was her alliance members. They got picked off one by one, so it was just her. So it's like, she's been behind the 8 ball before. She's had to do let me just charm their pants off. So watching her go down in the epic style that she did, I was like,
she pulled a Ben in front of Ben. Like, she spilled the beans on her alliance in front of Ethan and Ben. It was bizarre. And then Ethan was like, you know that Ben isn't in the old school alliance. And she was like, I know. What are you doing?
And I think it really must be one of those things. I chalk it up to, you just don't know till you're out there, the level of fatigue, the level of just, when we're watching it at home, odds are we're well fed and we're not dehydrated, or whatever excuse you can try and give these people. Because it's like, why are you saying any of this? Because
Right.
what's going to happen is it's going to make a target. And for her to try and, if you're going to spill the beans on an alliance, the last person you need to be going for is someone within the group that you just spilled the beans about.
Right.
Not only is everyone like, we need to take out one of those 4, now someone within that 4 is going to try and take you out, which is exactly what happened. And I'm like, God bless Danny. Right? I was really, really excited to see her come back, mostly because I feel like the earlier seasons are not given credit or not given their due, but holy God.
Yeah, I was frustrated with how she played it out. I don't want to say how it played out, because I do believe that it was poor play on her part. Obviously she was just the paranoia was getting to her. And we already see that happening with other players on that tribe. But when you leave yourself defenseless on both sides, you just become the obvious vote. And that's what happened with her, is she just became the most obvious person in the room to go for.
Yeah.
I think I was really happy that it wasn't Parvati, at least, because I would have been really sad after how Danny had played it to lose Parvati as a result of it.
Yeah.
So I am glad that it ended up being Danny over Parv, just based on that. Did you have any thoughts on how the tribal council itself shook down?
Oh my gosh, my drop your buff moment was absolutely when it turned into everyone turn out your bags.
What was that?
I was like, that's when I'm like, even though he is not someone that I'd love to see in the final 3, I think he's slowly climbing the ranks. The fact that Boston Rob, unless someone else threw it and they just gave Boston Rob the credit, the fact that he's like, everyone turned your bags out, and everyone turned their bags out, I was like, why? And
This is some Redemption Island 2.0 shit right there. Like,
oh my gosh,
everybody do what I say.
it's Jedi mind shenanery, and it's impressive. It's impressive how he's able to just do this, especially when you consider the fact that he's like the one who took the fall for losing the challenge.
Yeah.
Who?
I give a billion props to Denise, Queen of Sleight of Hand, amateur magician herself, for not only concealing her idol while that was all going down, but also not painting a target on herself in the way that I feel like Adam did by standing up to Rob and trying to push back. At that point, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide. But if you're vocalizing that you don't think it's fair, then you're going to become a target from that person that's saying.
What Adam absolutely should have done is wait that one out, go along with it, and then the next day been like, I feel really weird about how Rob just said, let's turn out our bags, and we all turned out our bags. Does anyone else feel a particular way about that?
That's not a perceptiveness that I feel Adam has, though.
No, but here's the trick. Adam is getting this bizarre, like, nerdy heroes edit that, I gotta be honest, the way that they're editing him, he's either gonna go down in this amazing blaze of glory and be like America's favorite, or he's gonna go to the final 3. Either one, I'm not necessarily on board with yet, but they're giving him a very, very heroic edit right now.
I did notice a line right before they went to tribal where Adam said, I know that I will never win this game, and there was an awkward pause, and then he goes, if I don't take those risks. And I was just like, you could have just ended that sentence. Like, you didn't need to cut in after the pause.
I mean, I stopped listening as soon as he said I will never win this game.
It was such a long pause. I was like,
that should have been our did you notice moment.
I feel like we're 2 episodes in and Ben is never going to win this game, and I'll be completely shocked if he does, because of the way that he also conducted himself at Tribal. I felt like he rubbed everybody the wrong way with what he was talking about and how he just wouldn't shut up. Literally every single person that was sitting there was like, we're all guilty of playing the game. Like, stop talking.
Well, I think my favorite moment of Tribal Council outside of Denise's sleight of hand was when Ben tries to throw the old schoolers under the bus, and then they get on the conversation like everybody's doing this, and then Ethan just looks at him and says, so what's your point? And then Ben goes, everybody's paranoid. And it's like, well, that goes back to Parvati and Rob's original point was, we're not doing anything everybody else isn't doing.
Exactly.
Very funny, because I feel as though both Parvati and Rob, and I'd have to go back and rewatch the seasons. I feel like at a certain point, both, if not either of them, have probably been in Ben's shoes where they were calling someone out for something, and it's like,
Oh,
I
a
mean,
million percent.
yeah, and it's funny how things can change depending upon your circumstances. I gotta be honest, I am not much for the people who've played 3, 4, 5 times. I'm not necessarily mad about the way things are shaping up between Rob and Parvati. I think
I'm
it's
highly impressed. Yeah, highly impressed.
the fact that they're in there and they're doing what they're doing and that they've survived 2 tribal councils so far together. I'm just like that. That says something. That's
I
impressive.
I was really intrigued at the fact that Adam and Denise's names didn't even come up at all this episode, when last episode they were on the hot seat. So it's very interesting how everything kind of flipped around there. And then Queen Denise not only finds an idol in this episode, but she also gets Danny's fire token. What is up with that?
What was that about?
She voted her out.
That's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know, but I ain't mad that Denise has another token.
That's some jury management in the pre-jury. You go, Denise. You fierce.
See, and this is why I'm like, anyone that says Denise should not be in this season, I'm like, all right. I was gonna say, Homegirl knows how to survive. She proved it because she did it at every tribal council during her season. What?
Absolutely.
So, anything that you're looking forward to? We got a little bit of a clip as far as the next episode. It didn't really tell us a whole lot.
Hopefully no more Tony ever. I don't need to see him climb on a ladder, catch a shark. Like, he just, everything he's doing, he just seems like such a cartoon character. If he ends up winning this season, I'll be completely shocked because he's just being such a goober. Like,
I,
the things he's doing to keep himself entertained so he doesn't have to find idols are like neurotic. Like, I don't think he's doing himself any favors in looking more sane by doing the things it takes for him to not hunt for idols.
I think with that, I think everyone in their own way are trying to figure out ways to make themselves not be perceived as a threat.
Mhm.
I think if anything, Tony's just gonna have to work against not annoying people enough to want to get rid of them. But in a winter season, who's most likely to be like, I would just want to vote out Tony because I just don't like him? Nobody is going to go for or target anyone for that. They're going to say, who is a threat? Who is a threat to my game? Who can I get rid of and be like, oh, wow, put that on my resume. No one's going to go after Tony and be like, I got rid of Tony because he was the biggest social threat in this game. Nobody.
Right.
So I think it is possible that I'm overestimating like how he's being perceived in the tribe, but to a certain level, there's a certain element of brilliance to what Tony's doing if it works out for him.
Yeah, if it's planned, which maybe it's not.
Hey, I like this Tony better than Game Changers Tony.
You
So
right.
I'm not mad about that. Yeah, what do you think about Tony or Tyson potentially targeting Sandra?
It's interesting. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Honestly, at this point, I'm putting a lot of stock into the Red Tribe just continuing to win immunities until there's a swap. I think that them losing to the Blue Tribe in the second challenge was a fluke because Jeremy threw rings well. Like, they were so far ahead. So, I just, even with Sandra, I feel like they're such a physically dominant tribe over the other tribe. I expect them to continue to
I
do well.
wholeheartedly agree with you. Well, I feel like we're getting right around that point where we've probably fleshed things out. So maybe this is a good place to call it.
Yep, we have to uphold our bets here.
Oh,
So,
I was going to ask if we could uphold our bets potentially when we make our bets for next week, only because I'm getting over the plague and I don't have any liquor in my house at the moment.
well, you hang on to that then. We will let you heal from your coronavirus,
Thank you.
and then we'll drink our coronavirus next
No,
time.
I believe in drinking my feelings and drinking the sickness. Well then, yes, thank you guys so much. If there's anything that we did not cover, please, what was it? Let us know. We can totally throw that in when we do a pickup episode with our bets. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me yet again.
Always, always, always. Thank you for being a great host.
Oh, stop it. I was gonna say, we are having so much fun watching the season. Hopefully you guys are as well. Chat to you next time.
See you next time, guys.
Oh no, I forgot.